Beware, the new age of science is coming. Today we're going to be talking about genetic engineering, but in order to understand genetic engineering, we need to understand what is genetics. So basically, we have DNA, which is a molecule in every single cell. This DNA comprises a chromosome. This chromosome is inside of the nucleus, and that determines what the cell looks like. Basically, DNA tells us what the cell looks like, therefore controlling what the organism looks like. This DNA is sequences of nucleotides, which we can engineer. There have been genetic modifications to different organisms throughout our world, which we will look into today.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow, golly gee.
That's so cool.
Whoa. Yeah, it's pretty darn cool where science has come. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
So what exactly is genetic engineering?
That's a very good question. Well, according to the FDA, genetic engineering is recombinant DNA technology, which is used to achieve desirable traits in an organism.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
What exactly is recombinant DNA technology?
Recombinant DNA technology, basically, is taking these nucleotides, switching them out with certain nucleotides, or taking certain genes of the chromosome and modifying them for the certain phenotype. That can get really complicated, but that's the short answer for that.
Pick me.
Yeah.
So, what are some examples of genetic engineering?
So, examples of genetically modified organisms, there are a lot of examples. Anytime you go to the grocery store, a lot of what you see is probably genetically modified. That's why the fruit and the vegetables look really nice, really colorful, and really large. But this is not limited to just food. This also applies to certain medicines. Really, there are almost no limits to genetically modified organisms.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey.
That's a nice looking apple you got there. Nice
Thank
and
you.
shiny.
Yep. Just bought it 2 weeks ago, actually. Been working on it for a little over 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. How have you been eating it for 2 weeks?
Well, thanks to genetic modifications, this apple is not only bigger, but also doesn't brown. And it is only 40 cents.
What a bargain.
I know, right?
Are there any negatives to it?
Well, according to WebMD, the potential effects of genetic modification are introducing allergens into food, antibiotic resistance, or any unseen potential environmental effects to these organisms. But they're not terribly sure yet on exactly what can happen. Otherwise, I'm happy with my non-browning, larger, cheaper apple.
Wow, that's so cool. Hit me up with one.
There you go.
Thanks. Squeak.
Teacher.
Yes.
Okay, so can we use genetic engineering to cure genetic diseases?
So, just like the vegetables and the fruits that I mentioned earlier about being genetically modified, we can find diseases which are rooted into genetics, into our own DNA, and we can take those mutations and switch them back to normal phenotypes. That can actually eradicate diseases. So as you can see from what I've presented to you today, animals can be modified, foods can be modified, but humans might be able to be modified. So,
Hi, welcome to a baby camp where you can have it your way. May I take your word?
yeah, we would like our child to cause more inequality in our society by being extremely athletic and successful in his life. Oh, and male.
And a cutie pie.
Of course.
A lady.
Of course. So how much does it cost? Well, it costs $500,000.
That's reasonable.
We're rich. All right, here's my credit card.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
May I see your egg?
Here you go.
This is the baby weight of 2,000. Tall, tan, athletic, cutie pie,
Male.
and male. Oh, and male.
This is so exciting.
Alright, what you're going to do is you're going to give this to your doctor and put it in your uterus.
All right.
Good.
That's not that bad.
Perfect.
So that took a lot of energy to show up all the lights. Hey, it's the baby kid.
Oh, hey.
Hey, long time no see. It's been a
Hi.
while. So, we're now
How you doing?
This is our son.
Oh my God, he's perfect.
His name's
Yeah.
Derek Rose.
Yeah, he actually plays for the Bulls.
Yeah.
No way. Whoa, slow down. Grab the wall. There are ethical issues with this.
As illustrated in the skit, making customized children will be a costly expenditure which only the rich will be able to afford. This will further the gap between the rich and the poor because the customized children can be engineered to be advanced members of society. Thus, kids born to poor families will be at a disadvantage and struggle to make it out of poverty. Another issue arises with genetic engineering being associated with playing God. Many people believe that it is immoral and against the laws of nature to alter the basic code of life. One major issue involves unforeseen consequences. This is illustrated by sickle cell anemia disorder caused by a single nucleotide change in the gene for hemoglobin. Although this disease is detrimental to human health, it provides immunity for malaria. If this disease were eradicated through genetic engineering, we may save many people from anemia, but put them at risk for malaria. This shows how it is difficult to predict what gene alterations will affect human life later on. There are obvious benefits with genetic engineering in food. It can make the food cheaper, larger, and resistant to pesticides. Also, we can engineer bacteria and other organisms to produce necessary gene products such as human insulin. Diabetic patients can then use this insulin. The current method of using genomic analysis and in vitro fertilization to engineer healthy babies is discussed in the article Infant Possibilities. Doctors can screen a woman's egg for chromosomal defects and pick only the healthy ones to be implanted. In the future, this technology can be expanded to eradicating diseases by swapping out diseased gene with a healthy one.
So in conclusion, I basically want you to understand that genetic engineering has been applied to foods and will be applied to our healthcare, our personalized healthcare here in the future. More people will start getting their genome sequenced, and more doctors will start using that genome to direct different medications for personalized medicine.
I learned so much from
I
that.
think and skip
I learned so many
Dude,
pros
he's
and
so
cons.
good.